So Jacob, tell me a story from the early days of Tamarack when it was 100-hour weeks and no sleep and too much Red Bull and coffee.
One of the things that sticks out in my mind is when we were just about done with our certification testing. This was over in Europe. We'd been going through this whole test campaign with the authorities. We were done. Like, it was the last flight of the last test campaign, and they shut down the plane. And we're like, oh, uh-oh. Yeah. So we go out to the plane. It was the avionics cooling fan that went out on the plane. And we ended up having to stay, this was in Europe, we had to stay an extra month to get the fan fixed. Like I said, the last test of the last campaign. So we worked through it, and of course, then when we got around to the testing, it was a huge celebration to get through that.
Did you ever think that you'd be running a company while we were in engineering school at U of I?
No, I didn't. No, you and I met at U of I, mechanical engineering. I was a little ahead of you on school, but yeah, no, it's been quite an adventure. Of course, you and I both worked other places since then too, but no, I mean, I started with Tamarack after working at Kodiak. Started with Tamarack in 2010. Nick had just started the company. I think he'd been at it for about a month. So it was just an idea. So the early days were engineering consulting, partly, just like it is now, paired with flight tests. We're going to flight test on an RV6, experimental, just go see if this idea works. Is it worth pursuing? And so those were exciting days, working 100-hour weeks, just getting it done, building things from scratch, looking at data, raw data, processing all of that. And of course it worked. And so we graduated it up to a more mature, on the Cirrus product, a more mature prototype, made sure it was working in that context, and then launched into the jet world where that was kind of our entry point for, a product.
Certification.
Yeah. So I was chief engineer then, you're chief engineer now. Talk about some of the things that we've gone through, like on the engineering side.
What haven't we gone through? I mean, it's an aerospace product, right? So it's kind of the same problems that every aerospace company faces. You solve hard problems, you have limited resources, limited time, and you work with a certification authority, so there's always somebody else that has a say no matter what. We've been able to leverage all that work into, improvements for the product and, future development work on, say, the King Air or other projects. And now we've got this team that's, knows what the potholes to dodge and knows the right questions to ask for a consulting customer, or knows who to call at the FAA when we don't know the answer, and they can give us some guidance. So there's a lot of wisdom that came from those painful years you guys worked through and survived through. And I think Tamarack and its engineering team's amazingly well-rounded because of all the efforts and the people that we've grown in the last, 15 years.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we were the first Part 23 load alleviation system ever to be certified. And so that had its own learning curve, not only for us, but also for the authorities. Thankfully, there's Part 25 rules that we could apply to that.
Sure.
But it definitely matured us as an engineering group and gave us depth. I mean, we already had a large capability from flight tests to structures to systems design and testing, and of course all of the certification part that's pretty specialized all by itself. But it's definitely given us a lot of opportunity to work with the authorities too, and like you said, to know who to call and to know how to interact with them. It's important that they have full review of everything. And of course, we've been through that now multiple times, having certified in Europe and in the US and all around the world. So, but the other neat thing is the structure of our business with the engineering group and our own projects. We get to do a lot of things.
Right. Open some doors with potential customers or consulting business, right? We've tested full wings. We've integrated systems that we can't talk about, up to the new military things we're looking into. So it's been an adventure.
Right. What is it like? What do you tell candidates? I mean, we're hiring, even now, yesterday we had another interview for engineers. What do you tell the engineers about what we're doing at this point, like as far as what they'd be doing on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, it's a balance, right? Back and forth of doing internal development work on new winglet products or how to improve those, but also we'll probably assign them to a consulting customer and project there, and so they'll get to work on that and kind of try to balance their workload between those two things. Obviously, that's a challenge in itself, right? You have competing interests, but there's value added by learning new things and being challenged by different engineering problems at different companies, right? Some of those companies don't have the same things we have, so we're developing complete circuit boards for other companies that are doing things that we don't even need, but now we have this tool in our tool belt that we go, oh, we've done that before, we know how to do this, okay, let's solve that problem.
Right. So Nate, tell me about what's going on in the engineering world right now.
We are running hard on several different consulting projects and also developing some internal products for some new customers, new airframes. So it's a juggle between pushing ourselves in new technologies that aren't our primary core business. So our engineers are growing and learning and developing and sharpening skill sets. We're also maturing internal products and leveraging all those skills that were learned to improve our Atlas, our active winglets, and kind of looking towards what new things we can add to active winglets.
Yeah, and that's part of the future of the company too. We have our products right now for the citations that people can buy, and we have a fleet of over almost 200 airplanes now. But that was never the end goal for the company. Like, one product line was just the beginning. Right. So, a lot of the stuff that your team is working on right now is stuff that we'll be employing in the future on future products. The ultimate goal was always to get the technology on as many airplanes as possible. It's a great upgrade for performance, which is something like the military and operators are interested in, but also a really important efficiency upgrade, which has a sustainability component and an operational component, which is really important. So what we're working on together for the future of Tamarack is bigger and bigger airplanes. So business jets, military jets, commercial jets. That's where the future of Tamarack is.